Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to talk about Intruder from 1989. So, I was honestly at first hesitant about going into talking about a movie like this because of my just uh, post experience of doing jobs similar to this. But I felt, if anything, that I can go on and lend myself to the knowledge I have with explaining these certain things. And yeah, so but if anything, let's go on and let's talk about this slasher film that has Sam Raimi in it. Uh, that was my real big selling point of seeing Sam Raimi as an actor instead of seeing a movie where he has to go on and do things behind the scenes and be a director of it. So that was kind of interesting. So we have Intruder. Intruder gives us a grocery store that brings in a guy named Craig to talk to a girl named Jennifer, and the two of them are having some lovers' quarrel, even though Jennifer is nowhere longer in love with a guy named Craig, but Craig obviously won't let it go. There's consistently times where they talk about how they've been separated for a year, but this guy just completely has lost the plot. So we have Craig that goes on to start wrestling with Jennifer that brings in a bunch of other co-workers to her aid. And then after they catch this guy, they boot him out. They call the police, and guess what? Cops don't do the best at their job because this is a horror film, folks. Come on. So, but I think this movie is more of like a whodunit than a horror film, but there is some kind of gory kills that are kind of fairly unique to the setting, which I really did like. And so we also had some really interesting camera angles that I liked also, like the camera angle coming from the cart, or there was just some really artsy or interesting angles that I really just liked. There's some foreshadowing also going on with Danny and the whole like thing where he was kind of slapping these papers down on this needle like thing that was to kind of like just hold on to all these papers. So back to the film. So Craig ends up getting booted out of the store, and that's when people within the store start dropping like flies after the owners discuss with the workers that the store is going out of business. They're selling the store to the city, and these guys have a month before they all lose their jobs. So, as the thinning of the herd of these people start to happen here, we have to realize that there obviously is going to be a final girl that seems to be a cashier during an overnight job, which made no sense to me. But I get it. You have to kind of cut this movie into like, okay, we need the cashier part of the store, we need the stock boys part of the store, and then we need the managers. So we have to like separate and section this off. So for how they kind of bounce around, it's very interesting. So once the thing of the herd starts to happen and killings start to happen, I really liked actually how this was to end because I feel that it had a very creative ending compared to so many other slashers where you go on, you have the obvious like final girl who's in this ambulance and she's having a towel draped over her or a cloth draped over her, and she ends up making this final police statement, and like someone is to kind of tap her on the shoulder and tell her everything's okay. Or we also have the other cliche horror ending where somebody wakes up in a hospital bed and they have to be reminded that everything's okay. And it's like, oh, it was all just a dream. Or no, it really did happen, but you're just to have woken up in this hospital bed. So we go on to have me feel that I did like this movie, even though I probably should not have from just personal experiences that like I could relate to this movie and then not relate to. Like we have the detergent box that keeps falling over, and I loved how they kept going back to that gag throughout this entire movie because in all honesty, like there are boxes that people get in stores that end up just being so warped that there is no way for a box to just stand straight up the way it does. So that honestly made a lot of sense to me for that box to just continue to fall the way it does. Also, uh what didn't make sense to me is the box cutter getting thrown in the air. I'm like, dude, you're basically throwing a knife in the air. I don't care that it's retractable um, or not, because there's some box cutter blades that are retractable, and then it's much more safer, and that's the more common use of a lot of box cutters in modern day retail stores. But those things are so crappy, the retractable ones. Like the blades aren't that good. Like it can't even really cut boxes, but people use them all the time, bizarrely. But so there's a lot of time where we're just going on and we're just seeing people just break down a box. And I'm not quite sure if they've ever gone on and actually done this in their life ever. Because like looking at people break down these boxes, I'm like, that's not the way to do it. But also, there is some accidents that happen. Like a person is to go on and cut open a box and realize that they accidentally cut into the product, which I'm like, yeah, like that's bound to happen. Uh, but anything. I'm getting far too in the weeds of here of describing too much in detail what's transpiring in this film, and I should really go into the bigger details of wrapping this first part of the review up. So, Intruder. This movie I think is a at the end of the day solid okay piece. I would probably want to compare it to the movie Career Opportunity that has John Candy in it briefly. And it's a story about a guy who ends up lying his way into a Target job and then comes to find out that his store is getting robbed while he's within it. And then he ends up kind of dealing with that. These people trying to rob all of these VCRs and whatever is to be of that time period of electronics. I would probably also want to go on and probably compare this movie to the Bruce Campbell film Black Friday because technically Bruce Campbell is also within this film. Black Friday is a zombie movie where people are like half zombies, half turkeys. It's very weird. But if anything, I thought that movie was rather fun and also is to be a horror film that is done in a store. Probably Silent Night, Deadly Night. The movie where a guy dresses up as Santa Claus to kill people. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I believe I had gone on to review that at some point in this channel, so you can go ahead and check that out. Even though it's a Christmas film, it's still a horror thing that you could probably watch year round. I believe I think I reviewed it here. If anything, regardless, I'm to talk about it, and I probably recommend it too. So besides that, you would probably have to go on and have me just state a bunch of movies that just take place in a store, like the Dane Cook Employee of the Month or the Kevin Smith Clerk movies. You don't want to go on to hear any of that now, do you? Maybe you do. But if anything, go on and let me know of any movies that are to go on and take place in a convenience store, a grocery store, a general goods store. Maybe it's to be kind of like the Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller movie, The Watch, and that could probably go on and probably be compared to this movie, maybe. I think that was done in a Costco. Anyways, so let me know in the comments below also what is to be your probably favorite slasher characters. Maybe you like a Chucky or a Michael Myers or a Jason or a Freddy or a Tiddlywinks. It seems that they're going on and they're taking certain IPs that are to have no business to do with slashers, and they're making one of them, like Popeyes and Mickey Mouse's and Winnie the Pooh's, and they're doing all that. which doesn't really make any sense. Like The Grinch is to be now a horror film, but whatever. So, so let's go on and say it's about that time to go into spoilers because this movie is available on Tubi, Tubi. Justifiably, that is the more easily accessible app to recommend for you to be able to see Intruder. So if I were to go on and logically recommend anything else, it's just because I've recommended it and so many other things that I feel that I'm to just say this anyways, just in case people want more of a variety of what to watch through their day to day. Like certain apps like Zeliphonic, Zelivonic, and also Moopsy, Moopzzi. Other than that, I think it's about that time to just try as quickly as possible to just push into full on spoilers about this film, because I liked it anyways. And so now it's time to say that it is spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time. I'm going to spoil this movie. Let me know anything in the comments below you'd like to go on and just chat about. Maybe you were to go on and watch a movie or show that you think that you could probably have me be interested in and what have you. I don't know. But either way, it's time to say that it's time to break this all down. I have a cast list or a thing that I insisted to help me figure out how to break down this movie scene for scene, even though it's only an hour and 20 minutes. I probably should know what goes on in this entire film. But maybe there's just some nitty gritty detail that I feel that I would feel remiss if I didn't mention it. But regardless, that probably takes up way too much time when I go on and I talk about these. So I'm gonna try and slim this down as much as humanly possible. But there's there's just something that just kind of I liked so much that I obviously feel that I need to bring up. Then I'll bring it up. But anyways, let's go on and let's pause here. Let's whip out what I need to whip out, and without a doubt, dissect this entire film and get into the nitty gritty detail of it all. So let's pause here. Let's get into that. Okay. The beginning of this goes on to have an exterior store that is to show the sign of Walnut Lake Market, but then off in the distance we see the words Ranch Market. So I don't know what they were going with there. Uh, but it's kind of interesting how there may have been two names for the store. We go on to have a stock boy who's in one of the aisles that hands somebody a bit of cereal. And we have immediately a camera angle that is taking place from a cart where there seems to be a dropping of a cereal box of Trix. We have two cashiers that are going on and they're gossiping like little old biddies. Linda ends up asking Jennifer exactly what a price is of something, and I'm immediately like, Linda, price check. Uh, hey, what is the price of this? Oh, it's $1.89. You would think that Linda would go on to be like, price check for so and so item, and yeah, like someone would come and figure it out. So we have Linda that turns to Jennifer and is a tell her it's like, well, hey, like, has Dave asked you out yet? And Jennifer's like, no, why? And Jennifer's like, well, I thought Dave was with a girl named Carrie. And Linda's like, no, 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 they've broken up. So hey, there's a chance. And we have a guy named Mr. Abernathy who's in between the two of these cashiers, and it's like, well, hey, like shouldn't I go on and shouldn't I be more important here than you guys just having this discussion? And Mr. Abernathy goes on and says like, well, hey, I hate to interrupt you, but like customer here. So Jennifer goes on, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And so she goes on to hand Mr. Abernathy this bag that has way too much in it. And the bag goes on and rips, and everything falls out. And so this guy goes on to need to grab all these items from this bag and just tries to haul it away. He bumps into this couple. It's like, well, hey, hold hands, you love birds. So Abernathy makes his way out of the store, And Jennifer tells Linda that she's going to go out to the parking lot to get all the carts. And Linda tells Jennifer, it's like, well, hey, watch out for that old kook out there. So Jennifer makes her way out to the parking lot to try to wrangle in all the carts. That is a horrible job, and at least it's not snowing outside, and she's doing that because God, is that the worst. Plus, also, I'm sure that they have absolutely no cart corrals for a business like this. So again, like people are probably chucking carts wherever. So speaking of carts chucking wherever, we have Jennifer that is to be distracted by wrangling all these carts, and a cart comes flying to her that is to have been uh, chucked to her by Craig, who's the weird, creepy, obsessed boyfriend guy who is to consistently be off in the distance, uh, be following Jennifer wherever she goes. So Jennifer makes her way back to the store after she wrangles in all these carts, and we continue to cut to these lobsters for some goofy reason. At one point, there's a hand that makes its way into this tank with these lobsters, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know why they had to go on and do that bit of work there, but like, if you have a shot like this, might as well take advantage of it. So Jennifer goes back to her register line and it's to check out this burly man with this long bit of hair and this really just thick beard. And I'm like, man, if only I could have some of that. And I'm not talking about the guy. So then afterwards, we have Craig that comes into Jennifer's line, and immediately her face expressions change. It's kind of like, oh, this guy. So we, of course, have Craig that is to go on and start talking to Jennifer, stating that he has been trying to call her for a number of days now, but it seems that he's having a longer winded discussion with her answering machine than Jennifer himself. Craig even goes further on to explain at some point that his hand is getting so tired from writing her all these letters that she doesn't answer to him, and so on and so forth. So, uh, we go on to have Craig that at some point says to Jennifer that the worst part about all this is that Jennifer doesn't even care about him. Yeah, because he's not getting the hint. Take the hint, buddy. She's moved on. She's moving on to a guy in one of her aisles, getting a slice of beef of that Dave. Come on. Yeah, like she's having another horse in the saddle there, buddy, or she's saddling up another horse. Like she's going on and riding some other stallion, and it's not going to be you. I hate to break it to you, Craig. She's moved on. Anyways, so but Craig is consistently going on with it. You don't know what I've been going through. She doesn't give a she doesn't care. So the further and further this argument starts to escalate, Linda goes on and hits the silent alarm. Ding ding ding. Something's gonna go awry here. So Bill and Danny are in the manager's office and they overhear the silent alarm. Bill is turning to Danny. It's like, well, hey, shouldn't we go out there because they hit the silent alarm? And Danny's like, dude, they never learned how to use that alarm properly. And plus, Danny doesn't care anyways because they're going out of business. And all really Danny cares about is for Bill to sign this paperwork for them to go on and sell this business. So Bill goes on to say to Danny, it's like, well, hey, can I just poke my head out the window to see if there's anything going wrong? And Danny's like, hey, do whatever you want. So back with Jennifer and Craig. So Jennifer goes on to tell Craig here that uh, after she's rung up Craig's items, that he's owed $1.35 for these cigarettes. And Craig goes into like, "Well, you owe me an explanation." And the further and further there is Jennifer going on and saying like, "Well, you know what? I'm sorry for what happened. Like, I really am. But it's over, and it's been over for a year now." And we go and have Craig, who gives the good old, "How about you do one of these?" Just and so Craig won't even let Jennifer talk or hear her out because he's immediately just only thinking about himself or thinking about them getting back together because that's what he wants. And so Craig is to go on and say that he's been holding this torch for Jennifer for a very long time now. And so eventually this continues to escalate to where Jennifer is telling Craig, "Hey, I'm working now. Like, I need to get back to work." And again, $1.35 for the cigarettes, please. So at some point, Craig is to go on and grab Jennifer. Linda ends up getting kind of in the mix here and starts to grab Craig. Craig then turns to Linda. It's like, "Hey, get lost," and then goes right back to Jennifer. Craig grabs Jennifer, goes into getting her out of the register, is now kind of in uh, almost in kind of like the aisles here, and he's almost like dipping her for how he's just kind of like holding on to her. Jennifer calls Craig crazy. Craig states, "Hey, don't call me that." The two of them are wrestling, and Dave comes flying out of the aisles, grabs Craig. He kind of takes over between um, the wrestling or fighting of Craig. Uh, so Craig tosses Dave and smashes him into a bunch of items here that are on these kind of metal shelves. All of a sudden, as Craig is to kind of put his fists up, this is when all of a sudden Bill comes from behind him and an almost like Heimlich maneuver or just a grabbing way of kind of getting this guy to not throw any punches or fight anybody. We have the cashiers that go on to to say things like "cut it out" or "stop fighting." Uh, Craig is a slippery motherfucker, and he goes on and he slips out from Bill, punches him. Bill and Craig have a pretty good fisticuffs fight here, which eventually still leads to Craig needing to be grabbed by Dave, and Craig has to try and slip away from Dave yet again. Danny gets into the fight here, and he eventually gets a whopping punch in the gut, which kind of looked very weak in my opinion. Like, come on, man, Danny, lay it really in. Come on. So, but Craig goes on to do this kind of drop kick to kind of separate himself from all these people, and Craig slips away from Dave, gets to find Randy, who Craig goes on and grabs Randy's arm. And bizarrely, then Randy is kind of doing this weird kind of sprinkler like thing. But I guess if you think about it, like, this guy is probably squeezing Randy's arm very hard to where maybe like the reason why he's going on and doing this is just because like the arm hurts that he's squeezing it this tightly, but also like I think Craig was kind of grabbing at a certain part of Randy's arm anyways. Randy eventually gets thrown into the the Pepsi cans here, and then Craig separates himself from the rest of the workers as he runs down this aisle and disappears. Danny goes on to tell Jennifer to call the police as Danny is to kind of set up with the rest of the guys. Hey guys, start to make your way looking through the store. Start to look for this guy, and if we find him, hey, don't be a hero. Call out, and we'll try to get to him and whatever. I honestly think what the plan should have been is for them to all just stay right in front of the store and wait for Craig to come to them rather than the opposite. But that's just me. But so, if anything, they also shouldn't have separated either. Because that's how people get dead in a film, just so you're aware. So, but they all start to separate because people are stupid. Uh, Jennifer goes on and calls the police, and her nose is bleeding forever. She has the worst nosebleed I've ever seen in a film, and I've seen a lot. I've seen, My Bloody Valentine, or no, the Valentine movie with um, David Boreanaz, where his nose is just always just bloody. Just so I guess that might be worse, but it's pretty close. So we have the guy, I believe his name is Bud, who makes his way back to his cereal aisle. He goes on to continue to start stacking cereal boxes and then he eats some cookies. We have Randy, Sam Raimi, who makes his way to his sink and then is to look up at this ladder to the attic, hoping that he could probably hear somebody up in the attic to maybe think that there could possibly be somebody there. Randy makes his way into the freezer to look at all the meats and see if anybody's within there. Uh, we have Tim making his way to the back room. Danny is in the bathroom. He's thrusting the bathroom stalls open, realizing that somebody took a huge dump in there, so he flushes it. And Bill goes on and makes his way through the store also, as we see through the POV of the killer, him looking through this window at the store. Jennifer calls the police and they end up putting her on hold because, of course, they do. Just wait for that police to arrive, also. They're going to not take all day to do that. So Tim goes on and finds good old Produce Joe and asks him why exactly he's going on and he's being here tonight. And Joe is like, I'm working. And so Tim is like, well, okay, well, like we're looking for a guy named Craig. So if you see him, like, and so Craig is like, or so Joe is like, oh, Craig, yeah, I remember that guy. Like I was in a fight with that guy. I beat his ass. And uh, so Tim goes on and like, okay, well, if you see him, yeah, just kind of just be alert and what have you. And Joe's like, oh, okay, all right, great. So we now have Linda making her way through the aisle, and she eventually has a hand reach out to her and scares her, and it ends up being Tim. What a jerk. So we then have Bill that interrupts both Linda and Tim talking here, and Bill asks either one of them, like, hey, have you seen him yet? And of course they say no. Uh, Plus, also with Linda screaming, that's why Bill kind of ran over because he wanted to just kind of make sure that Linda is okay. Because Linda got scared. So we have Bud, or Bub. I'm going to go with Bud. Bud goes on and has an interesting conclusion of where he thinks that there's a possibility that Craig could go on and be, which could go on and have him be in the attic. Bill goes on to state, "Hey, yeah, like I remember the one time you guys were in the attic and you smoked that wacky tobacco," which is kind of very funny for them to go on and say here, because immediately you can't just say weed or drugs or whatever. You have to just say weed in a very funny like nature, which probably can get a good laugh for a lot of people watching this movie, which I did. So Bill and Bud make their way to the back room to make their way to the attic, and Tim asks Linda if she wants to share a beer with him, and Bill's like, "Hey, you guys are working, no beer." So Bud and Bill make their way to the attic, and Bill climbs up this ladder, and it's go on and have a bit of funny line here where he's like, "I can't see nothing here but a whole bunch of darkness," and and so Bill turns to Bud. It's like, "Hey, give me the flashlight." And so Bud gives him the flashlight. So what happens is Bill goes on and grabs the top rung of this ladder, and then the ladder rung breaks off of the ladder, and so Bill goes flying down the ladder. Bud does not go on and brace this guy's fall whatsoever, just lets him fall. And so Bill gets back up and like, "Oh, my effing heart," or whatever. And so he's like, "All right, well, like, if the guy is up there, he's gonna have a really tough time getting back down. So, like, I guess we can rule that out." So Jennifer is to go on and still be trying to get a hold of the police. And then once she does, she finally gives her name and location as she has to go on and repeat it. And so by that time, we have Craig that seemingly is coming up behind her because Jennifer is making this phone call within this little cubicle. So she probably can't see a lot of certain um, kind of peripherals or whatever. She has kind of a blind spot going on here. Craig goes on to grab the phone from her and is to hang up the phone and is to want his change back and then kisses Jennifer. Both Dave and Danny grab Craig here, grab him, and then Bill appears. Uh, all three of them go on to grab Craig, try to drag him out of this store. Danny starts to act tough here as he goes on, like, "Yeah, you better have the cops deal with you instead of me," and so on. It's like being a real tough guy here. So the numbers game start to stack up on Craig as everybody comes in uh, to gang up on Craig and shove him out of this store. So Bill opens the door and they thrust him out of this door. They lock the door and they tell him to get the F away, to F off. So now that that seems to be over and done with, everyone reconvenes by the cash registers, and Danny gets an update with Jennifer about like, "Well, hey, did you call the cops?" Like, and Jennifer states, "Yeah, there's gonna be a squad car that comes by." Yeah, when exactly did she have that to go on via that 911 phone call? Whatever, I guess. So, so here is where we go on to have Danny that is to be very appreciative that everyone handled that situation the way they did, and everybody's to start thinking that they're going to get a raise out of what they just had to deal with. And Danny's like, "Well, as a matter of fact, we're instead not even going to go on and have the store be open past the next month, um, because they're going to go on to explain that they sold the store to the city." And so here's an interesting thing that once these people start talking, there's some stuff that doesn't quite make sense. Like one person ends up going on and saying like we should have put a union together. I'm like, a union together for a mom and pop store? That just seems weird. But then also, like, it's a little late to start a union now. Plus, also Jennifer is saying, "Yeah, I just got a raise," and some people are like, "Well, yeah, like I've been here for 3 years. I just flushed that down the toilet," and so on and so forth. So some people are to be happy that they're going to collect unemployment. And so the further and further everybody starts talking here, we have Bill that interrupts. It's like, "Hey man, like I've been here like for 10 years now, and like I started out from like chopping meat in the back to then working my way up to be a co-owner." And so the like people start chiming in. It's like, well, hey, then Bill, like, why didn't you go on and not let Danny sell the store? And then Danny's like, well, or Bill says that Danny owns 51%. Bill only owns 49%. So it's like, well, he has a majority control of what goes on here, so he was the one that made the decision, not Bill. Because Bill is to go on this whole rant about how, like, this is his home away from home, this is his whole entire life, and eventually, this is probably to foreshadow a lot that kind of transpires by the end of this film, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge for those of you that have actually seen this movie. So, and then want to overhear the explanation of all of it anyways. I really do appreciate it. So, Bill goes on to ask if everybody knows what they're doing as he goes on to leave for a fasty, whatever that means. If anybody knows what a fasty means, let me know in the comments below. I have no idea what that is. So, here's a shot of all these boxes in the back of this store that eventually disappears at some shot, which honestly doesn't make sense to me. So, we have Prudos Joe, who's going on and cutting up things, and he has headphones on, and he has no idea that he's going to go on and lose his job within the next month. And Randy goes back in the back room and tells Tim here, lost your job, Joe. And then Randy leaves, and Joe didn't hear anything of what that guy just said. He just continues to just chop goods. So Linda and Jennifer are kind of complaining about how they have to adjust all these prices. And Linda asks Jennifer if she's going to be okay. And Jennifer's like, well, hey, do you know anybody who needs a new cashier? So all of a sudden, the phone starts to ring. And Linda tells Jennifer, it's like, well, hey, opportunity is calling right now. What a coincidence. So Jennifer goes on to answer the phone call, and it ends up being Craig. What a creep. Do you think him getting booted out of the store is going to stop him? No. He's so obsessed that he'll even give her a little jingle on the telephone. So, Craig goes on and tells Jennifer, do you think anything will shove me away from you? And Jennifer's like, well, I called the police. And Craig is like, well, do you think that's supposed to scare me? And Jennifer tells Craig to leave her alone and hangs up the phone. Jennifer goes back to the register as the phone is continually ringing. So Jennifer tells Lindy of that phone call was coming from Craig, and then he probably won't stop calling. So Linda tells Jennifer not to answer the phone. And so Linda ends up asking Jennifer, it's like, you really went out with that guy. You really went out with that schmuck. You really went out with that obsessed, creep, weird guy that seems to go on and just stalk you wherever he goes. And Jennifer's like, well, yeah, for like 2 months, like a year ago, but he just won't let it go. He's just obsessed. Man, Jennifer is just probably just really, just one of a kind, I tell you. So Jennifer goes on to explain to Linda that I think that Craig's future dance card is not ever going to get full because at some point Craig had gone on to prison. Both Jennifer and Craig had went to a bar, and Jennifer had decided to want to break it up with Craig at this bar, but Craig wasn't hearing it. Craig was to go on and start to get into some aggressiveness with Jennifer, and a bouncer kind of got in between them, and then Craig started fighting with the bouncer. And what ended up transpiring is that Craig had gone on to kill said bouncer. and Linda is to say Jennifer, and so like he's like out of prison now, like he just murdered somebody, and Jennifer's like, well, yeah, like he's out in prison, so it seems that he's out on parole, so that is to be the first red flag of hey, this dude is freaking weird. But then on top of that, uh, Bud is gonna go into his own story with Linda, uh, and I'll talk about that a little later. So we see Craig off in the distance by the door. He's just waiting for Jennifer. So at one point, we have Jennifer who feels that there's eyes in the back of her head, or that there's somebody staring at her. And so she looks, and she looks at this magazine. She looks at the door and sees no one. Jennifer thinks she's going crazy. And so the phone calls are going off the hook again. So Linda rushes to the phone. It's like, well, hey, I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna answer this phone, and I'm gonna give uh, Craig a bit of his medicine back to him. So Linda ends up answering the phone to come to find out that it's not Craig after all. It's actually a guy named Teddy who she is to be involved with. It's like, oh yeah, well, like we've had this problem with this guy named Craig for the whole night. He's been calling, da 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 da. So Teddy's like, oh yeah, well, once you kind of get done with your shift, come on home and explain it to me. And so Linda's like, okay, I will. And so uh, the next thing we see is Jennifer is in one of the aisles and she's sweeping up, and we kind of get this really interesting sweeping up camera shot. So Jennifer is in this aisle, and there's a note to be written to her, and it writes, Jennifer, I love you, and I will do anything to get you back. XOXO, smooches, smooches. Craig! What if it could have gone on and been anybody? What if it wasn't actually Craig? We just have to go on and assume that it's Craig. What if it could have been any number of the other people in the store just messing with Jennifer? I don't know. They should have signed it Craig, and then it'd be like, oh, okay, that's who did the letter. So, as a lot of people are going on and adjusting the back rooms and restocking things, and we also see Produce Joe with his headphones going on and putting a box over some wooden pallets. If you guys don't know what wooden pallets are, then that is what that is. So Linda's going on and doing some price adjustments to some breads as Jennifer makes her way back to this back room, trying to get this bottle open for these drugs so she can take, and she can't open them up. Dave comes making his way down this conveyor belt like thing, and is to help her out open this. And then eventually Dave is to go on and state that he's having this get together uh, on Saturday, and there's a few people coming. And then he's like, well, you know what? Like, forget all that party of whatever that's going on Saturday. How about you and me? How about we go on and we do something together? How about that? And Jennifer states like, I like, like, and so we have Bill that goes on to interrupt these two lovebirds. And Bill goes on to ask Dave if he can go on and grab some baked beans and some pineapple, because he's going to go on and make some Fart Blossom special sale, because in all honesty, they have to kind of get everything from the back to the front of the store because they're going to sell everything. And so, yeah, it makes sense that Bill is trying to get every bit of every product from the back to the front to just try and sell all of it at 50% off. So, as Dave disappears back onto the conveyor belt, Bill is a little upset that Dave is going on and using this conveyor belt, but he's like, whatever, young kids. So, Bill goes on and starts talking to Jennifer about there being a possibly another job opportunity opening up that Jennifer could probably be perfect for. And Jennifer, of course, is obviously very appreciative of Bill going out of his way to talk about this. So here is where both Bud and Linda get together and have their bit of gab about how crazy Craig was, because at some point Craig had gone on to lose his father, and it seemed that Craig had gotten into some drugs, some horrifically delicious drugs that he should not have taken ever in his life, because it'll ruin his life and others and his bate. So Bud goes on to explain this whole story that leads to probably another person getting beaten to death or almost beaten to death. And so we go on to again just have another story that is to just build up to the fact that if you thought that Craig was insane before, now you're just getting a double dose of that. Because I guess now, really, at this point, like, these people have nothing better to do just to state how crazy Craig is. So we have Bill that goes on to tell everybody to all take a break together. And like, for those of you that aren't in the know about stores, like, for especially the 30-minute break, if they have an overnight crew, it makes all the sense that everybody takes the break at the same time. For sometimes for like 15-minute breaks, people can just kind of randomly take a whatever. Like if they got to take a dump, that's their 15. Or if they did go on and they just want to just take a short break, then yeah, they can do it. Uh, there are sometimes also when I'm doing an 8-hour shift and they just do the 30-minute break and then nothing else. So I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm working here for 8 hours. I deserve 3 breaks. But like it seems that they only take the 30-minute one, and I'm just like, like whatever. Like you don't really get paid like that well to just take your 30-minute break when you can get 3 breaks throughout the day. Plus, most of the time with what you're ending up doing in these jobs, it's very physically tasking anyways. So like, yeah, like you would actually want all the breaks you can get. Um, but it's whatever. So everybody is all at this break room, and these people are still going on, and they're waiting for the police to come. And they're starting to crack jokes about like, well, hey, like if you probably think of how long it takes for the police to get here, just think about the fire department, blah 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 blah. Like just these jokes that eventually have Bill turn and have this whole story to go on and tell this bit of group because he had been a volunteer firefighter. So even more kind of making me understand the foreshadowing of probably what is to transpire by the end of this film, just because of the crazy story that Bill has. So Bill goes on to explain about him being a firefighter, and at one point these people had been eating some burgers, and then ended up getting called out to somewhere. So Bill goes on to state that there is one specific firefighter named Parker who has this burger in his hand. Even when they're going out to whatever they're going to need to do, he still has his burger in his hand. So come to find out, these firefighters are to respond to needing to find a human head that has been lost somewhere. And so come to find out, the one guy who ends up finding said head is the guy with the burger, and it's to be Parker. So bizarrely, we go on to find that Parker is to be taking this head by the hair and just kind of walking along with it, and having a burger in the other hand. And once the other fire department see Parker making his way to them, they all lose their cookies. And so we had some certain points, like have some of the other people just kind of interject in the story when they find something that they can kind of repeat and latch onto, like, yeah, right. Yeah, but anyways, so Bill gets this story. Eventually, this leads them to go on after this story wraps up to have the police arrive. So they all make their way to the front of the store to meet up with the police, and the police are to go on and ask the people, like, well, hey, like, is the Craig guy, is he still here, or like, is he like so they go on and they explain that they've called him recently, or they've called at the store recently, and it's like, well, has he said any threats, obscene things? And it's like, well, like, not really. So the police are just like, well, okay, like, you know what, like, we're gonna go on and try to find this guy. It seems that he's on off on parole, so we're gonna try to find him, but like, no luck that these guys are actually gonna logically find this guy by the time that this movie ends. If anything, also, it's kind of weird that they have two separate, different cops in the beginning of this movie, and then at the end of it, it's not the same people. But I guess also you need that Bruce Campbell cameo in this movie, anyways. So, plus, who also called the cops by the end of this movie? Moving on. So, uh, the police officer ends up handing Bill this card to get in contact with him, but it's not even the right card, so I wouldn't even trust if this is to be a legit card or not. But also, why do the police officers have their own specific card? That just seems weird. Uh, and so they end up leaving, and the co-workers also make a joke that these police officers probably can't even catch a cold, so they're probably not even going to catch this guy. So they all get back to work, and so Linda, it seems, is having her shift finally end. So she's going and buying up all these things. She's buying up a thing of beer and all this. She's buying a bunch of junk. Come on, Linda. Where's the protein shakes? Where's the protein chips? Come on. Like, that wasn't done at any point at that time period, but F it, I'm making jokes anyways. Where is the healthy stuff? Where is the organic food? Come on, Linda. Yeah, I'm judging this person because they buy things. Whatever. I'm making jokes here. Come on, people. Uh, for how skinny Linda looks, like, come on. Anyways, so, uh, Linda ends up telling Jennifer that Teddy is waiting for her at home. Of course. And he hates it when she's late. Well, get used to it, sister, because when you work at a store, yeah, they don't care how long they keep you. I don't know how many times I've gone on to like work where I think I'm gonna be done by a certain time, and they're like, "Oh no, like, can you stay for another hour, or could you stay for another couple hours after your shift is over?" And I'm like, I don't think that that's gonna be possible. But yeah, but like, they're just like, well, yeah, well, we need you, and it's like, you could have probably told me that when this shift started. So, but hey, whatever. I guess it's more money, right? But like, I was just like, I was kind of getting annoyed with it because it started to get a pattern of that. And I just don't like jobs where I'm kind of on call, and it kind of ended up to where a lot of jobs were like that, where I would kind of show up when they would call me, and then I didn't know what my schedule was, so I just didn't know when I was gonna go home. So like, that was just like, all right, like, I have no idea what I'm doing here or why I should, because like, when you only have a 30-hour break in an 8-hour shift, and then you're asked to stay even longer, like, when your shift is actually over, you're kind of already planning out your meal. You're planning out, yeah, I'm gonna eat this because I'm freaking starving, and then they want to prolong that. So it's just, it's that's the real problem of it all. When you're working like a 9 to 10 hour shift, and you sometimes have absolutely taken no breaks because of how busy it is, and they want you to stay longer. Uh, so we again have Jennifer, whose nose is rushing with the blood, and so Linda gives Jennifer this tissue, and so we get back to the back of the store that has way too many boxes in front of the door. It makes no sense. Cut to certain people going in and coming out of this door from the back. Because Linda is leaving the store and she's making her way to this car. We have the killer POV. So we go on to have some noises going into the parking lot as Linda gets to her car. And we get the wrong thing to always say in a scary movie of who's there. Scream goes on, the very first Scream, and tells you to never say who's there. But people do it anyways. And also, like, for anyone who is to ever ask who's there, do you ever actually get a response? No. Uh, so yeah, so you should never actually go on and ask that because it's a wasteful bit of energy. So as Linda pops open the back of her car, uh, her trunk to get her groceries with inside of it, we see the shadowy figure of Killer. And when Linda is to close her trunk, the killer arrives, grabs her by the goozle, the neck, and then kitchen knife, slice. I think Linda's dead. I think we can rule her out as the killer. The next thing we can rule out is what Joe is going on and eating, because he decides to just cut open a watermelon and just starts eating it, and then fires off a seed. We get to see, bizarrely, uh, Produce Joe and Randy both eat some of the food within the store because I guess, like, well, hey, we're gonna lose our jobs anyways. F it, right? We'll just eat all this food. Plus, also we saw Cookie Guy eating cookies before. But anyways, so Joe goes on and just rips into this watermelon and eats it. At some point, we'll see Randy, who grabs one of these green olives and he starts eating it. It also seemed that in the green olive jar there was an eyeball in it, but then also I don't know if it's a white olive either. Um, but if anything, it was kind of just playing for laughs that it's like, ha ha ha, look at this eyeball in this jar of green olives. Anyways, so here's where we have both Danny and Bill, and Danny is wanting, of course, Bill to sign the whole paper to get the deal going so they can sign this company over as quickly as possible to the city. And Danny doesn't care what the city's going to go on and do with it. He just cares that he's going to get money and profit from this. And I've already probably said this at some point, but I've stated it anyways. So the next thing we see is Jennifer in the bathroom, and her nose is going from here to about here. So she's like, the blood is just coming on down, and so she's going specifically to the bathroom to just wipe her just whole body down because she has gotten some loads of blood coming on down. She's almost a sprinkler system. So we now have this cardboard baler. If you don't know what a cardboard baler is, you've probably not worked in enough retail stores, or you probably have no idea what this actually is, so I'll explain it to you. So a cardboard baler is a big, huge machine of a thing that you chuck cardboard into, and then the cardboard is to get smushed uh, to make this nice, neat little box of a thing that you have to tie all of these wires to have it be held together. So then you can have the machine go on and have the machine take, once you put a pallet right next to the machine, uh, once it seems that this cardboard bale is full, the pallet is here, the machine is here, and so the machine goes on and takes the cardboard baler and flips it onto the wooden pallet, and then you can go on and take like a pallet jack or whatever the heck you have available to you and haul this thing away. I don't see any pallet jack within the store, so that was the one kind of thing that just didn't quite make sense to me. Is like, okay, if they have a cardboard baler, how exactly are they going to go on to get it anywhere if they don't have a pallet jack? That's what one thing that just kind of bothered me, that I didn't see that anywhere in the movie. So plus also, if you have a pallet jack, you're gonna really f around with that, and they didn't do that throughout this entire movie. That would have been the thing that if this was a real legit store movie, that's the one thing that you would f around with, would be the pallet jack. You're gonna jump on it and you're gonna like skateboard around on it. That's what you just do. Even though that's not what you're not supposed to do, people f around like that anyways, just because they don't care. So plus also when we have lifts in the store, also we end up using the lifts just to get around the store faster, because it's true. Yeah, we'll go on and we'll take the lifts, and we end up, because there's a lot of times where we have to go from one end of the store to the exact other, and so yeah, so we take the lifts and we actually drive all the way down to the other side of the store to get whatever items we need to get, and then take the lift and then go back to the, because it's faster. It really is. Plus also, when you get to a point where you're like November, December time, and you need to do everything quickly anyways, that's a shortcut measure. It kind of really alleviates time that you don't have. Like, also, already been talking for an hour, and you probably don't have much time to talk much about this movie. So, here is where we go on, and we're at this cardboard bale. So Bill is going on and chucking some cardboard into this cardboard baler, and or I would probably call it a cardboard compactor. It kind of depends on the exact terms that people go on and say, but like a compactor goes on and it compacts anything. When you throw it into this kind of huge hole that can bend metal and kind of every single bit of stuff that probably shouldn't even go in there, but people just chuck it down in there anyways. Um, and then the machine just crushes it and then condenses it. It's like, okay, someone else just has to deal with that. So back to the movie here. So Bill goes on and makes his way to this back room door, and he's starting to see the door consistently try to open up, and Bill is just consistently looking at it. So, and Jennifer is still cleaning her face with blood. So Bill goes into the back of the store and has this hammer on him. And Bill starts to make his way through the back of the store, and he ends up getting scared by a little doggy. No doggies were hurt in the making of this movie, I hope everyone knows. Because I would have been distraught. But then again, I've just gone on and seen Needful Things that goes on and hurts a doggy, so I was sad. R.I.P. doggy of that film. R.I.P. Anyways, so we have Bill that goes on like, you get the hell out of here, you little fella. So again, back with Jennifer, she's still cleaning off the blood. Maybe the blood is getting everywhere on her. Like, because at this point she's having to just take off her shirt. We see her in her bra, and she's going on and changing her shirt because that's how much blood she has within her bate. So we go on to come to find out that Craig is sneaking into the store via this window, and Bill catches him, and they start to have a tussle. We have Bill that tosses Craig on top of this dumpster. Uh, Craig goes flying. We have at some point between the Craig and Bill fight where Bill ends up losing the hammer off of the ground, and both Craig and Bill go into ground and pound. They do the takedown. They do the double leg. They do the 1-2, the 1-2. One goes for the pin. Like immediate shoulder up. Yeah. I was going into a rant there, but anyways, let's get back to real what's going on here. So Hammer is on the ground, and also conveniently, Craig is to also fall on the ground. Now Craig has the hammer in his hand. Bill gets close to Craig as they continue to fight. Craig goes on and smacks Bill with the hammer. We're assuming that Bill is to be taken out for the rest of this film. Bye bye, Bill. Yeah, not so much. We'll find out that Bill had gotten knocked out and he will reappear in the movie later on because there's going to be a whole reason for that. So, cue now to going back to Produce Joe. And he is to have dropped what I would assume it looks like some potato bag, because just the way that he's holding the bag, or just the way the bag looks, it looks like a potato bag. But people can go on and correct me what this actually is if they know the logo of this or whatever. Maybe they have their own conclusions of what this bag was, but it looks like potato bag to me. Moving on, so because Joe is going on and having this cart with these bags and he's hauling them away. So the next thing we see is Jennifer, and she is making her way through the back parts of the store here as they kind of pan around to certain parts of the store that they're just kind of just cutting to. And then we see Jennifer in the back room. We have at one point where Tim is going on, and he is to go on and be popping open a beer because Tim does that. We also had at one point where someone is doing a price adjustment for Oreos. So thumbs up for Oreos being used in this film. Cookies. Anyways, so we cue then Danny, who is seemingly getting some liquid courage with this green bottle, whatever it is. And that ends up being a very creative way to do a camera angle in this movie, and I actually really thought that was cool. We also still have the door that's just being shot at for some goofy reason. Speaking of somebody getting shot, somebody's getting shot with some hands to them and getting choked, and that ends up being Danny. Danny ends up desperately trying to get to the intercom as he desperately cries out for help, which no one can really hear. If anything, the only thing people can hear is a and people are like, oh my god, my ears, oh, what's going on? So Danny's getting choked and trying to call for help. Yeah, I don't think that's going to go all that well. And everybody's going on like, oh my god, like brain hemorrhage. So we even go on to see Randy is doing something with plastic wrap as he's plastic wrapping something. I'm assuming he's plastic wrapping some meat, but also he's going on and like stamping something. I don't know what he's doing. I know he's using plastic wrap, but I'm like, like plastic wrapping some meat. I'm hoping that's what he's doing logically. Let me know in the comments below exactly what he's doing, because maybe Sam Raimi knows. So, back with Jennifer. Jennifer is going on and answering the phone call for Walnut Lake Market. And so we go on to find that Linda's boyfriend is pretty concerned. Sitting, hey, is Linda still there? And Jennifer's like, "Oh, hey, hi, Teddy," and Jennifer confirms to Teddy, it's like, "No, Linda left a while ago," and Teddy's like, "Well, weird, like she's not home," so kind of a little concerned. So again, we're back with Danny, and he's gonna get stabbed in the eye with this needle that he had gone on and foreshadowed that he was plopping all these papers down onto. So of course he's gonna get killed with that. So the further and further we have to build to this head going into this needle, and then it happens slowly but surely. We start to see some blood going on to this lamp or this light here, and we start to see the blood occurring upon a lot of this desk. It's horrific. Horrifically awesome. Moving on. So, Jennifer goes on to be by the register and she meets up with Dave. And it seems that the two of them are going on to hit it off so well that it seems that now Jennifer can confide to Dave uh, because she's probably having the worst day ever. And Jennifer is stating how Craig is stalking her and her nose can't stop bleeding. And Teddy just called and Linda's not back yet. And so Dave is like, "Look at you. You're shaking." Like, the police are going to go get Craig. Like, you're safe here with us. Don't worry. And so the two of them kiss. Furthermore, they continue on this journey of them being intimate together as we see off in the distance that Ted is moving this beer off to the side and notice both uh, Tim and Jennifer getting some action to the point of both Dave and we don't really see any skin or anything, but the two of them are going on top of the register and they're making out. And Jennifer is a little scared that they may go on and lose their job because of this, but they're already going to lose their jobs. So what does it really matter? They can do whatever the f they want to. So Tim further and further tries to get a good sight of the two of them kind of making out here, as we have the killer who is also looking off in the distance, seeing what's going on. So I think Bud is going on restocking some shells. He's doing something. We have Randy. Here's where we get the eyeball spot in the green olive jar. Randy goes on and makes his way back into, I believe, the freezer. As we open the freezer door, and there were 3 knives, and then all of a sudden we close the freezer door, there are 2 knives. Oh, what does that mean? Someone's gonna get knifed. We also have Prudo's Joe that is going on and cutting up some carrots and just having a good old time, I think, trying to figure out how exactly to cut these up. Because it's kind of weird. He chucks all the carrots off to the side, and then I think he was gonna try to like go down on it, and like he can't cut them, so he like tries to like do like a this kind of maneuver. So as he continues to just try to continue to cut it like this, we all of a sudden see that he's getting cut to through his head, because we have a guy that comes from behind Produce Joe and cuts seemingly almost Produce Joe's head in the back in half. And so the headphones also fall from Produce Joe's head, cut in half also. And Produce Joe, he's bleeding and he's dead. And he falls over. I guess Joe's dead. So then we get the sign that says safety first. Knives are sharp. Please be careful. I thought that was funny. So here's where we go on to have Dave, who opens this box with a knife, and then he goes on to realize as he takes the product out that he cut it too deep and it opened up the product, and now the product is spraying on the ground. So he's like, "Oh, this always happens." So Now back with Jennifer, who is going on and getting some cleaning supplies together so she can wipe down everything, because I'm sure she has to probably wipe down her blood that's probably somewhere, right? Because she's blooded it up so much time tonight. So Dave goes on to eventually ask Bud, uh, or no, wait. Dave goes on to be trying to stack these items, and Bud is trying to F with him, and he chucks the items just so it falls back on Dave. And so Dave tells Bud to cut it out. So speaking of Cutter, uh, Bud ends up asking Dave for his, and then eventually he'll go on and he'll give it back to him, but it'll come flying to him to where it goes on to cut Dave's hand, and he needs to go to the bathroom, or he needs to go to some place to go on it and eventually get some band aids. But that happens a little bit later, not exactly now. So the next thing we see is Produce Joe's body getting dragged. R.I.P. Produce Joe, or R.I.P. Sadly enough. So Randy is in the back room, and he goes on to look at this door, as it seems it's hard for him to go on and open said door. Through the place that there should be a door handle, there's actually just a red light. It's very bizarre. So Randy is going on and looking through the red hole of this door, which I'm like, okay, what was supposed to be the payout for this? And then all of a sudden, a ladder comes flying at Randy, and he's like, "Who is the schmuck that put this?" Oh, I did. Oh, I'm sorry. So he goes on and he takes the ladder and he tosses it off to the side, and he just walks off. We have Tim that all of a sudden notices that there's a door open. There's a door open, guys. Everybody be concerned. Freaking everybody be on the watch out for this door opening. So Tim goes on to call out for a number of people thinking that he's getting pranked here, but he's like, "Hey guys, you gotta shut the door. Shut the door. Can you guys quit effing around? Uh, don't leave the beer cooler open." So Tim goes on and he shuts the door, and that's not the only thing that's going to be opening here fairly shortly. Besides that door, is to go on and be Tim's body as a knife goes through it. We have the killer that shadows from behind him and then slices into his chest, and having him go down as some of the beer also has blood going down it. So the next thing we see is some chicken getting just a little cut. Some just chicken, just get a little blade action. So we then see Jennifer going on and doing something with her register. Bud is going on and doing something with the cardboard baler. And here is where we, of course, go on to see Bud seemingly getting effed with by the compactor. Bud ends up stating that he's not going to go on and get a wedgie from anybody because he planned this ahead of time and he's not wearing underwear. Wow, what a strategist this guy is. Probably should not have gone on and told people that because they'll probably do something else. And so we have Bud that goes on to make his way out of the compactor to then see who he believes is Tim, but Tim does not go on and say anything because Tim is dead, so he won't. So Bud goes on and keeps having a conversation with a dead person, and then he gets grabbed and chucked into the back. Dave is going on and assorting some boxes here. We go on to have the killer carry Bud to this cardboard baler where he crushes his head and kills him. Yeah, I guess cardboard is not to be the only thing that's going to get compacted here. Yeah, that was stupid. Moving on. So That was a stupid joke, but I laughed at my own stupidity. So Randy goes in the back and he starts doing inventory. He starts counting out there being two rumps and certain things that are to be reserved for certain people. And he starts saying the names of all these things that are reserved for Moss or Marge or whoever the heck else. And then he goes on and grabs this certain slab of some kind of meat thing that is to be within this uh, this tray, and it probably looks like a hand. I'm not sure. And here is where we go on to have the killer grab Randy as he's distracted, and he gets a little bit too hooked on something, which is to be a giant, massive hook, and he ends up getting just dangling via this hook. That kind of reminds me of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, where they go on and they toss this guy in the hook, and we really don't see it, but then eventually we'll go on and see him just kind of dangling around in the rest of the movie. So here's where we go on. We have Dave that is still trying to stack this one box. And here's where he finally goes on and asks Bud for his box cutter back, and the guy chucks it, and he ends up getting cut in the hand. And Dave is to be upset with Bud, obviously, because like, hey man, like you threw this thing and it was opened, it had the blade out. So Dave goes back in the back to realize that the slicer is still on, because yeah, people are dead. So Dave goes into the bathroom and is starting to call people's names Randy, Bud, and then goes on to look inside the bathroom stall to realize that there are feet that are chopped off in the bathroom stall. And Dave just accumulates it to like, oh, you guys just put pig's feet in these shoes. Very funny. So Dave starts looking around the store and realizes that the freezer has blood in it also. And so Dave is upset with Randy about how like he used to just go on and just have like bl- uh blood from the meat that just kind of has gone into the freezer or gone leaking out from the freezer. And so that's where uh Dave is just kind of just upset here. So we go on to have Dave that assumes that the guys are in the attic, just having a good old joke. So Dave decides that he's going to go on and make his way to the attic. He's going to regret it for the rest of his life. I'm sure he will. So, or whatever is left of his life. So Dave goes on and is to climb up to the attic. And all of a sudden there's this head that falls out of the attic, and it's just some Halloween costume. Well, come to find within the attic, there's just a ton of Halloween costume masks for some reason. I guess because this store just has a assortment of just wild and random goodies like Halloween masks. So Dave has his flashlight and starts poking this flashlight all around this attic. Eventually, Dave will go on and get surprised by Danny, who is still alive and is asking for help, but Dave can't really make it out. So Dave is just so afraid of uh, specifically Danny here that he starts freaking out to the point where I think Danny runs to a window where he can see inside of the store, and he's banging for someone to help him, and he's yelling out for Jennifer. While that's going on, Jennifer is at the register, and Craig is off in the distance just stalking away, overhearing possibly some of the sounds, maybe not. So, Danny is going on and deciding to just bleed all over this ladder. And so Dave makes his way back down the ladder quickly because he falls. And Dan Dave is to be met by a cleaver because the killer is coming to get him and slice him like seemingly by the skin or seemingly by the ear, fairly close. I would go on to say he gets cut like right around here. Dave goes on is touching his side, and we have at a point where the killer is to go on and grab Dave and start to be dragging him because Dave is going to go on and get cut again, but not in a way that involves a cleaver. Dave even tries to reach out for the cleaver, but can't reach it. So Dave ends up going to make his way to this big, massive blade that I kind of used in a different, slightly different way than what is actually presented here. Like, they actually have a machine that this blade is to be on for people to just, I guess, kind of cut certain bits of meat or whatever. But they're using it to cut a person's head in half. So Dave's head ends up getting seemingly cut in half. We get the gory details of that. And so the next thing we see is a clock that is to be showing that it's about 20 minutes to 3 in the morning. So Jennifer is calling out for Dave. I honestly think the face that is on this magazine that we keep seeing is probably Sting, right? Yeah, it says Sting. All right. Cool, we're seeing Sting on a magazine. For reasons I don't quite understand. But regardless. So Jennifer at this point is to seemingly be the only one left alive within this entire store as she cries out for a number of different names. Tim, Bud, maybe it was Bub. Maybe I said that name wrong the entire time. Bud, whatever, I guess it really doesn't matter. Randy, Dave, where is everybody? Because, yeah, she's the only one really left. She's the final girl. So, we go on and see so much a collection of blood all over the store, even the meat that is also to have blood on it. Also, we just kind of have to show some kind of blood within the store. So we again have Jennifer that goes to the aisle as this detergent drops, and she has to pick it up again, and she calls for even more people. We still have lobsters that now have a hand that has a lot of um, seemingly blood within it that is just dripping with blood. Anyways, so Jennifer goes in the back room to still look for people because she's just that busy of a person, and goes on to make her way into finding the slabs of meat that are hanging in a number of locations. She'll find another slab of meat who will actually be Randy, sadly enough. R.I.P. Sam Raimi's character in this film. So Jennifer obviously freaks out from seeing Randy's body, obviously. But then she goes on and uses his body seemingly here shortly to kind of brace herself to not have a door be opened. So, what is this graceful way of using a dead body, Jennifer? Come on. I thought you were better than that. So, Jennifer goes on to be frightened as she thinks that she is to go on and see the killer off in the distance. So she makes her way into this freezer to then go on and grab this hook, not realizing that the thing behind her is some feet and it's to be half of a body. So Jennifer tries to hold out in this freezer as long as she can, and then eventually realizes that she had gone on to hear something which scared her, so she rushes out of the freezer. And then it seems that the killer is inside of the freezer, so Jennifer has to close the freezer so the killer won't get out. Jennifer goes on and takes a hook into the killer's hand. And we don't exactly know if this is the killer or not, but we just have to assume. So here is where Jennifer disgraces a dead body by trying to put it in front of the door to brace the door as she tries to run away. Jennifer gets into the aisles and starts running through the entire store. She tries to get to the manager's room, and there's no answer, because of course there's not, because there is blood at the bottom of the door. Jennifer goes on to make her way through sliding down this little slide here to go on and find out that someone else of one of her friends is dead. That she'll go on, she'll find out that Tim is dead, I believe. And it's either Tim or Dave. I'm gonna go with Tim. And there's a sign that ends up saying that he's half off. I'm like, yeah, he is half off. So Jen goes on and then finds also that Bud or Bub is dead, and he is to be crushed completely in a number of different ways within this cardboard baler. We'll see his hand, we'll see his leg shooting out. It's an interesting scene here. So Jennifer goes on and makes her way down to this conveyor belt, sliding down Produce Joe's dead body, as we're seeing Produce Joe in a number of pieces just kind of collecting in this conveyor belt and just kind of flopping around. Jennifer runs to make her way to this door, trying to escape, and is to go on to realize that she can't escape this way, so she goes back within the store and opens this door to find a somewhat disgusting head within all of this beer. And she finds out that Dave is now dead. So Jennifer is running around all over this store. We have a guy that ends up going to the store thinking that it's still open and realizing it's not. He goes on to say, yeah, I guess they're closed. Because we always have that in a store setting where a person comes far too late thinking that the store is still open and it's not. Even if it doesn't make sense for them to be there, they're still there. So Jennifer goes on and sees a person that's walking away, and so she runs to them and says, "Wait!" And then all of a sudden, she sees Craig, and she uh, runs away from that and smacks right into Craig. And the two of them are kind of in this tussle, and we have at some point where, since Jennifer has this hook in her hand, she eventually hooks Craig in the neck because she doesn't think that he's safe, but she would be wrong. We go on to then finally have Jennifer just losing her mind at this point, and she's now going on and stating that she'll have that date with Dave on Saturday. Think it's a little late for that now, Jennifer. But she goes on and says that it's a date. And then she also again says who's there. Bill ends up appearing and is to come as the hero, and it's like, oh, there, baby. So we have Bill and Jennifer embrace, and Bill tells Jennifer that everything is going to be fine. I'm sure it will. And so Jennifer tells Bill that she tried to stop Craig in the back of the store. Or no, wait. Bill goes on and tells Jennifer that he tried to stop Craig in the back of the store, and he got hit with the hammer and he was knocked out, and that's why I didn't see him for a good chunk of the movie. He explained himself, and Bill tries to pin all the murders on Craig because it makes the most sense for the movie. And so we go on to have Craig, who opens his eyes, and shortly thereafter he disappears. We then have Bill making his way to the phone, trying to call the police, as Jennifer probably should have done that at any point recently, but she decided not to. Jennifer all of a sudden starts to look at her hands and sees that there's way too much blood on them, and then is to also go on and look at Bill's hand to notice that his hand has blood on it and it has an injury that is to be tied to a hook that she had gone on to stab into a hand earlier on to realize that Bill is the killer. So Jennifer goes on to try and run away from Bill. Bill at some points does try to grab Jennifer and even rips her hair out. And Jennifer realizes that Bill had killed everyone. And Bill explains that he had killed everyone for the store. Danny was always the big boss, and he always called the shots. Or every business deal until now. Uh, he was going to take the store away from me. The store's my whole life. I had to kill him. Uh, the night crew had nothing to do with it. Oh, I couldn't. Or no. Jennifer states, like, the night crew had nothing to do with it. It's like, well, I couldn't let anybody stop me. I guess I just got a little carried away. Uh, and then Jennifer's like, you're sick. And Bill is like, don't you see? I'm just crazy about this store. And I'm sorry, darling. I truly am sorry. But there's gonna be one more killing here tonight. So, and then also, Bill is to state that Craig is going to take all the blame for all this. So, we go and have Jennifer, who takes a bottle that she finds and smashes it at Bill. She runs off. She goes on to look at the aisles and notices that there is one seemingly hiding place that she can go on and hide into the aisles. This seemingly little displayer that she can separate between the actual aisle and just kind of hide in between. It's kind of this little nook that probably not a lot of people notice in stores. So Jennifer goes on and hides in this little nook, this little place, and she kind of waits to see what Bill is going to go on and do. So Bill goes on and finds his cleaver blade and starts to make his way through the store. We have at one point where there is a lingering a bit too long where Bill is kind of having his face right in front of this like bottle or something, and he's kind of like going back and forth, and we kind of see this camera shot. So to kind of try to make this as short as possible, so Bill eventually goes on to continue to just circle around the store. And while that's going on, we have to realize that Jennifer has a bloody nose. Bloody nose that goes on and bleeds so viciously that at some point, because Jennifer is realizing that this store is so dark that she doesn't know how much blood she's bleeding. And also, there is a bit of a bottle that is to break on the ground. Jennifer goes on and bleeds so much that there is blood that is on the ground that obviously tells exactly where she is. Bill goes on and is right next to where Jennifer is, and then Jennifer can start to see what Bill is doing. And so Bill starts rearing back, stabbing his way into Jennifer's little hidey hole here. And Jennifer's busted. She decides to get out of this hidey hole, run out of this aisle. So Bill goes, he starts running into one aisle and he goes into the other. So I'm like, that made no sense. So Bill tries to go on and tries to find Jennifer here as Jennifer is trying to make her way into the back where she's trying to find these kitchen knives, these big, huge, massive kitchen knives, where I think she finds two at first and then she'll only end up with one because of course she will. And we go back to now Jennifer is at a screen or at a reflection next to the lobster hands, the lobster and hand. And so we just kind of have to keep cutting back to that because bizarrely, these people who did this movie just love the lobster and the hand thing. They want to figure out ways of how they can keep going back to this shot. I don't know why. If anything, I guess we just need a commentary to know why they did that. So at some point while Jennifer is making her way through the aisles, Bill comes flying through an opposite aisle to jump and grab Jennifer. And This then goes on to lead to Jennifer dropping some of the knives here. Jennifer grabs one of these glass items. I think it's some wheat grain or some wheat grim, wheat something. She goes on and takes this glass jar and breaks it over Bill's head, and that releases Jennifer from Bill's grasp as Jennifer grabs the knife back again, running to the front of the store. And it seems that she cannot go on and get this front door open because, yeah, those doors effing suck. I know because I've worked in a number of places where those doors are just really hard to open. Plus, also, if they definitely need a key to open them, yeah, you're effed. You could probably figure out a way to just strengthenly like break that door, but it's really effing hard. I've accidentally at some points broken certain like doors uh that have been at a store before, uh but reasonably there are times where there are massive items that have to go out of a store, and you kind of have to go on and you have a door that has to like open a certain way. But if you open a certain way and you're thinking that's the normal way of just opening, you'll accidentally break it also. So like it's not that like I was so stupid. Like no, like the door should actually open a certain way, but it sometimes breaks when you open it a certain way. Like if people don't understand exactly what I'm saying, then maybe I just need to re-explain it. Because there are like there is a certain door that can go on and do like the normal like open and close thing, but then there's also to be a way that you can have a four door kind of operation where you can um, bend a door open and have it to be an even wider opening. And there's sometimes where stuff like that can work perfectly, and then there's sometimes where a door can just really break, and you're not even knowing that that happened. So that's what some of those stores have, and that's the waste of time that you have to deal with when those doors bizarrely break. Just because of you thinking that you can go on and just open the door a little bit wider because you need to, and it doesn't work out. It's great. So we go and we have a pizza delivery guy that ends up arriving as Jennifer is to try to chuck this God, what is it called? The fire extinguisher. She chucks it at the door to try to open it. So this pizza man goes on and delivers this pizza, and Bill delivers a blade into this guy's back and starts killing him. So we have Jennifer that goes on to realize that at some point, like she needs to figure out a way out of this store. And when she makes her way back to the store, she finds who she thinks is to actually be Danny, who's still alive, asking for help. Jennifer runs to Danny to then realize that it's actually just Bill, and he's pretending to be Danny, saying, "Help me, somebody help me." And we then get Jennifer to start to create some distance between her and Bill. She goes on to try and chuck the knife at Bill. He grabs it out of her hand, and he's now holding the knife. And it, like, man, like he probably effed up his entire hand doing that. So Jennifer starts to create some distance, goes back to the front of the store, and now Bill is jaunting through the aisle with a head in one hand and a sandwich in the other, recreating this old story, and is going on and re-reciting it and be like, "Yeah, like walking down 9 miles, swinging a goddamn head by the hair in one hand." And a sandwich in the other. It was a burger in the other story. Well, I guess you can't be perfect, right? So, Bill ends up telling Jennifer here that she's playing hard to get. And so we have Jennifer that bumps into a good old friend named Craig, who's still alive, luckily. And Craig goes on to explain to Jennifer how he's been sneaking in and out of the store, and it tells Jennifer that she can go on and do the same for them to get out of here. So they go on and they continue talking here, and Bill is to fight with Craig as Jennifer runs away and starts to find that exact window for her to sneak out. As now Bill is bludgeoning Craig with this head that he had, hoping to beat him to death with it. So Jennifer goes on and she's sliding out of this window, hoping to possibly escape all this. And there's to be a hand seemingly coming from out of the window that is going to follow her. So Jennifer goes on to open up her car to find a dead body coming out of it, which is Linda. A bit of hands go on and grab Jennifer from underneath her car, pulling her through, and ends up being Bill. As Jennifer further and further gets pulled from Bill to the other side of the car, we come to find that Jennifer is to come to find that she has something in her hands that could help her in this situation, which is a kitchen knife blade, and stabs Bill in the chest. We have Bill that ends up asking Jennifer, "Hey, where'd you get that blade?" And she doesn't have much of an answer, I don't believe. So Bill falls over at this point, and Jennifer calls for the police. So we have Bill that gets right back up and starts chucking the telephone booth, and is to try to hope that any of this glass will probably fall on Jennifer, trying to kill her here. So Bill has completely had this telephone booth fall over. Now Jennifer is down on the ground, needing to crawl through one of the openings of this telephone booth, as Bill is to go on to be on top of the telephone booth. So Bill ends up opening said telephone booth, grabbing Jennifer, trying to get her back out of said, or get back to him so they can just keep fighting here. So we go on to have Craig that comes out of nowhere and slices uh, Bill's hand, and it kind of cuts in between his hand. It's very gruesome here. So Craig is now going on and wailing on Bill, just chopping the ever loving out of him. And finally, as they've gone on and done enough damage here, it seems, Craig and Jennifer go on to uh, kind of start walking away here. And all of a sudden, the police come calling. And they grab both Jennifer and both Craig, thinking that they were the killers here, that they were doing all these heinous things because they have no idea what was going on. And so Bill goes on and points to both Jennifer and Craig and saying, like, yeah, they did it. They killed everybody. And all of a sudden, the police officers are taking the word over Bill instead of both Jennifer and Craig. And Jennifer is trying to tell these police officers that Bill was the one who did it. But yeah, these cops don't believe him. They're arresting these two kids. And that's how this movie just goes on and fades to black. And so I thought that was a rather interesting ending. And uh, one of the cops goes on and makes his way into the store and states how it's a bloodbath in there. I'm like, how exactly did he get back into the store? That makes kind of no sense to me. Maybe at some point, Bill had reopened the front of the store. Maybe that's how he got from um, wherever he was. I don't know. But anything. Uh, that's how they actually go on and they wrap up this film. And Jennifer is screaming no, the credits roll, and yeah, like that's the interesting ending that I thought was really cool, to blame the kids on the killer or on the murderers instead of actually having the actual guy who was the murderer getting his comeuppance. So But then again, I guess we just don't have enough time to get closure of how this is all perfectly written out. And if anything, I think that was a better ending than what could have actually happened. So that's it. I'm gonna get that out of here because I realize I'm gonna go on and upload this today, and plus also I've been talking for way too long, anyways. And also, I probably will realize how much of a mistake this is for talking for an hour and a half or hour and 50 minutes, anyways, for how long this movie really is. I'm gonna get the heck out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for going on and watching this. I really appreciate anybody who decided to watch this review. I thought that this movie was interesting enough to justify um, taking the time to review it because really, I wanted to see an interesting slasher movie, and this really presented itself to me instead of me needing to go on and actually find it. So that was great. That's just the random ways of which that I just go on and just find these things, or they find me, like I say. But anyways, I'm gonna go on and get out of here because I realize how I'm kind of getting into a pattern of just ranting and whateverness. So goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching this. Bye.